The London Baptist Confession of 1689, Chapter 19, of the Law of God, Paragraph 1. God gave Adam a law of universal obedience written in his heart, and a particular precept of not eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, by which he bound him and all his posterity to personal, entire, exact, and perpetual obedience, promised life upon fulfilling, and threatened death upon the breach of it, and endued him with power and ability to keep it. Genesis 1, verse 27. Ecclesiastes 7, verse 29. Romans 10, verse 5. Galatians 3, verses 10 and 12. Paragraph 2. The same law that was first written in the heart of man continued to be a perfect rule of righteousness after the fall, and was delivered by God upon Mount Sinai, in 10 commandments, and written in 2 tables, the 4 first containing our duty towards God, and the other 6, our duty to man. Romans 2, verses 14 and 15, Deuteronomy 10, verse 4. Paragraph 3. Besides this law, commonly called moral, God was pleased to give the people of Israel ceremonial laws, containing several typical ordinances, partly of worship, prefiguring Christ, his graces, actions, sufferings, and benefits, and partly holding forth diverse instructions of moral duties, all which ceremonial laws, being appointed only to the time of Reformation, are by Jesus Christ, the true Messiah and only lawgiver, who was furnished with power from the Father for that end, abrogated and taken away. Hebrews 10, verse 1. Colossians 2, verse 17. 1 Corinthians 5, verse 7. Colossians 2, verses 14 and 16, 17. Ephesians 2, verses 14 and 16. Paragraph 4. To them also he gave sundry judicial laws, which expire together with the state of that people, not obliging any now by virtue of that institution, their general equity only being of moral use. 1 Corinthians 9, verses 8 to 10. Paragraph 5. The moral law doth forever bind all, as well justified persons as others, to the obedience thereof, and that not only in regard to the matter contained in it, but also in respect to the authority of God the Creator, who gave it. Neither doth Christ in the gospel any way dissolve, but much strengthen this obligation. Romans 13, verses 8 to 10. James 2, 8, 10 to 12. James 2, verses 10 and 11. Matthew 5, verses 17 to 19. Romans 3, verse 31. Paragraph 6. Although true believers be not under the law as a covenant of works, to be thereby justified or condemned, yet it is of great use to them as well as to others, in that as a rule of life, informing them of the will of God and their duty, it directs and binds them to walk accordingly, discovering also the sinful pollutions of their natures, hearts, and lives, so as examining themselves thereby, they may come to further conviction of humiliation for and hatred against sin, together with a clearer sight of the need they have of Christ and perfection of his obedience. It is likewise a use of the regenerate to restrain their corruptions, in that it forbids sin, and the threatenings of it serve to shew what even their sins deserve and what afflictions in this life they may expect for them, although freed from the curse and unallayed rigor thereof. The promises of it likewise shew them God's approbation of obedience, and what blessings they may expect upon performance thereof, though not as due to them by the law as a covenant of works. So as man's doing good and refraining from evil, because the law encourageth to the one and deterreth from the other, is no evidence of his being under the law and not under grace. Romans 6, verse 14, Galatians 2, verse 16, Romans 8, verse 1, Romans 10, verse 4, Romans 3, verse 20, Romans 7, verse 7, Romans 6, verses 12 to 14, 1 Peter 3, verses 8 to 13. Paragraph 7. Neither are the aforementioned uses of the law contrary to the grace of the gospel, but do sweetly comply with it, the Spirit of Christ subduing and enabling the will of man to do that freely and cheerfully which the will of God, revealed in the law, requires to be done. Galatians 3, verse 21, Ezekiel 36, verse 27. The